Right, you're still watching The Agenda. We continue with the Turkey elections discussion, and we are now joined by Johannesburg-based Turkish journalist Turkmen Terzi joins us now on The Agenda. Thank you so much for your time. Now, I was just talking to Trent, our correspondent, who basically just gave us the gist of just how serious and important these elections are. How important are they?
Yeah, this election is actually very, very important, not only for Turkish people, also for the world, especially in the MENA region, the Ukraine and the West and the East, because Turkey is a strategically very, very important country. And, you know, Turkey is founded by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The CHP is the main opposition now. Kilicdaroglu from Republican People's Party. So means this party founded by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. And Mustafa Kemal Atatürk embraced the motto of peace in the world, peace at home and peace in the world. So Turkey never had a war since 90 years until Syrian war. So Erdogan is the first Turkish leader since Mustafa Kemal Atatürk who started war like so Turkish forces in Syria, in Somalia, in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Azerbaijan, in Libya. So he also in all African countries, he's supplying. They focusing on defense, and he's supplying defense from Ethiopia to now DRC and even the Angola. They talking. So that election is very important because Erdogan is no more following the peace at home and in the world. So that election. International, if CHP come back, so Turkey will go back to a factory setting, like will be more like a NATO country. So we'll back to the European League. So Turkey is CHP will push to European Union membership. So Turkey used to be a very secular Western country, but with the Erdogan, it become a like more Islamist country, focus more on Middle East and meddling Middle Eastern issues, lots of conflicts. So that will be very important. Also, when it comes to Turkey, Erdogan, you know, will be a longest serving leader if he wins the election today. He already ruling the country since 2002, so more than 20 years, and he became a president 2014, and in 2018 he transformed Turkey from parliamentary system to executive presidency, like a one-man rule. So he's sitting in the palace, 1,200 rooms. So if CHP wins the election, so they will close down the palace and they will go back to the parliament. So parliament is not functioning, dysfunctional now. It has no power. So when it comes to also inflation is one of the highest in the world, and people are really suffering, and lots of corruptions are going on. More than that, Erdogan declared war on the media. More than 200 media houses he closed down, and he now owns almost all the major mainstream media houses. And since 2016 coup, we have a very mysterious, strange coup. We don't know still who were part of this coup. After the coup, Erdogan fired more than 100,000 people from the public service and from key institutions. He controlling judiciary and the army. So lots of things will be changed, but the more stressing part is, if Erdogan lost election, I don't think so he's going to recognize the election results. So he's now going to recognize the Kilicdaroglu's victory. So there will be some kind of chaos. We seen in 2015, Erdogan first time lost the election, majority in the parliament, so he repeated the election after 3 months. Within these two elections, we saw the chaos in Turkey. So that chaos might be happen because Kurdish people are no more longer voting for Erdogan. They are the kingmakers. There will be a kingmakers. So they are going to vote, they declare they are going to vote for CHP.
Yeah, and I want us to actually look at the build-up towards the elections. It's been a very, what one would call a bruising contest. I want us to also look at some of the utterances that were made by the president. He said that the United States doesn't want to see him winning these elections. Why do you think he said that?
You know, Erdogan, as I explained, Turkey is a NATO country. Turkey is the NATO's second forces. Turkey was the far like a station for NATO during Cold War. So what Erdogan did, so he invaded Syria, so he is in Libya, so he is no more like in the NATO, and he purchased from Russia S-400 missiles. So US introduced lots of sanctions on Turkey, and Turkey is threatening military operation in Syria. So America is not happy with Erdogan government. So also lots of corruption case. Erdogan managed to cover up corruption cases in Turkey in 2013. But this corruption case is continuing in the US against Erdogan State Bank because they involve money laundering case. You know, because of they violated sanction on Iran by the West. So West, not only US, the West is not happy with Erdogan. That's why Erdogan came here. He joined the BRICS summit, if you remember, in 2018. So that's why Europe is very critical of Europe and US, very critical of Erdogan. But by the way, also they are supporting Erdogan, especially Europe, because he is keeping the refugees in Turkey. More than 5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey, Afghan and Syrian. They are paying to Erdogan to keep these refugees in Turkey. Also, they think in a pragmatic way. Also, Turkey is very important. He signed grain deal, all of these things. They are European mostly happy with Erdogan regime in terms of security. But that's why Erdogan is criticizing. But the opposition is blaming Russia for interfering the election results. So he set up a strong relation with Russia. Also, Europe is, US is basically not happy with the Erdogan government.
Now, are we likely to see some sort of resistance even after the results have been announced?
So, you know, like since 2016, Erdogan purged all the military, more than half of the generals. Turkey is the second army in the NATO. So he's controlling now the army. So he's controlling police forces, and he have lots of groups you know, the take order by the Erdogan. So, you know, like he can easily create chaos in the country. Most of the policies now forces listening him. But the worst things happen to Erdogan regime is the earthquake. Actually, my hometown is the epicenter. So it affected more than 220 million people and 11 cities. The century is one of the biggest in the world. So Erdogan's economy was based on the construction, but we saw the whole building collapse, newly buildings collapse. So Erdogan introduced many amnesty, construction amnesty, and he licensed the building were not resisting to earthquake. We are sitting on high earthquake zone. So that's why Erdogan is most likely he's going to lose this evening. We are going to see.
Yeah, and I want us to also talk about the earthquakes, because we can't have this conversation about Turkey and not make reference to that as well. What impact do you think the earthquake that we've seen the past few months, what sort of impact is it going to have on these elections?
Yeah, first of all, people are very angry because these 11 cities is a very irony. They are the biggest supporter of Erdogan. So for instance, my city, Erdogan is getting more than 70% votes. So they waited government for 3 days. 3 days government were not there. So most of them, they died under the rubbles because they froze to death. So they are so angry. But many millions of people left these cities. So they went to another city and they were not registered. They couldn't vote because you need a proof of residence and you need to register in different city. But they were not registered. So he's not going to lose many votes from earthquake area. But people really angry, and then there are other cities, the people are, so this destruction, and Erdogan government failed to address the situation. So lots of corruption, and Turkish Red Crescent, president of Turkish Red Crescent resigned a few days ago. So Erdogan lost popularity, especially after the earthquake. Actually, that is the biggest challenges to Erdogan, this earthquake. Yes.
Yeah, now before we wrap up this conversation, when can we expect results?
Yes, result is there will be like evening 7, 8 o'clock. Media will start broadcasting from releasing the results from 9 p.m. and then 11:49 means 1 minute to midnight. So we will see the results, but the official result will be by Supreme Election Court. They are going to release after 5 days. But tonight, we will be sure who win and who lost.
Turkmen Terzi, listen, thank you so much for your time on the agenda this morning.
Thank you.
All right, and we're keeping a close eye on that indeed.